Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Jay to the Umpin, aka Jumpin. Ha 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 ha. Thought I'd try something funny, something new and funny. This is going to be another Mass Effect 3 gameplay commentary, where today I'm going to be using the Asari Justicar, which is awesome, but I'm going to be using the Cerberus Harrier on this build, and I absolutely love this build, and this will be a gold gameplay. I don't have many Asari Justicar's gameplays, even though I praise her so much. Alright, so right here I'm just showing you my gun. I'm using extended magazine with extended barrel. Pretty standard. Okay, now for the build, I purely recommend for the spear, just all offensive spear, so that's everything on the bottom. Radius, enemy weakness, and warp effect. I don't really like the spear too much, but, you know, it is still a nice power. Next up is going to be Reeve. For Reeve, I definitely radius. You always want radius. Because this gun weighs so much, I recommend recharge speed. And now for the last field, I do recommend barriers and armor if you're going to be using this against Reapers. But if you're using it just in general, yeah, you definitely want damage and duration. Alright, for your Asari Justicar, duration and capacity, pretty much the best way to go. Power damage for your explosions and Reeve. And then actually this is what makes this gun possible on this build is assault rifles. With assault rifles you're going to be able to really have a nice little recharge. And for your fitness, all shields, you definitely want the shields just because she needs to stay alive. Okay, now for the equipment I'm going to be using a armor piercing 3 because I don't have armor piercing on my gun. Power amplifier 3 for the explosions and the bombs. Very nice. Shield booster 3 because she actually needs some type of extra shield just to run in close to throw out her bubble. And then finally assault rifle rain lamp 3. Okay, so let's go on and get into the gameplay. Now, here's the thing about this particular character. I know a lot of people play with the Asari Justicar, and I know that a lot of people love the bubble, which I like the bubble, don't get me wrong. But I find it personally way more effective just to Reeve everything and shoot it. If you're playing with a squad, which if you're going to try this character is so much better against, well, when you're playing with a team of, you know, adapts or something, so you can just work together to do explosions. When you're doing this team-based thing, yeah, this is definitely the best character in the game for that. No question in my mind, because she can set up multiple explosions with her Reeve and multiple explosions with her bubble, and it's really nice. Now the point of this particular build is just to use the Harrier. The Harrier is such a godly gun, and to use it on a build like this just makes her offense just go up amazing. Now, out of all the Asaris, well, the one thing I like about the Justicar more than I like about any other Asari is her defense. She has a lot better defense because of the Reeve and because she actually gets more shields than the regular Asaris. I think she caps out at 990. So that's pretty nice. But as you can see, the main thing I'm going to be doing throughout this whole gameplay is going to be using Reeve and then shooting them. The best part about Reeve is Reeve actually stuns almost every normal enemy, which is really cool. And you know, it also sets up multiple enemies for DPS, and then it's also one of the best powers in the game for just, you know, explosions. This team we're using is actually a Drell, an Asari Justicar, so that's 2 Reeves, a Human Sentinel for warp, and well, it could have throw, but it's actually not built for throw, it's just built for warp. And then a regular Asari Adapt, which is going to be built for warp, throw, stasis. So we'll have stasis, we'll have warp, we'll have throw, we'll have warp, we'll have Reeve, and we'll have Reeve and cluster grenades. That's pretty much all the powers we're going to be using. But the best thing out of all those powers, the 2 best, is definitely Reeve and warp. The combination of Reeve and warp is probably the best combination of 2 powers in this game. Warp is just such a good power for blowing stuff up. It debuffs, it pierces, which makes their armor weaker for bosses. It just does a lot of nice things. And you know, Reeve just is good because it can set up like multiple explosions. Like you can pretty much hit 3 enemies with it and then blow them all up at once. If you have a power like Shockwave or Nova things like that, or even throw, you know, anything that can detonate multiple explosions is really nice. So, and this gun in general is just really good on her, and it's really nice to be able to use it effectively, because of her, you know, assault rifle ability from the decrease in weight and everything. You know, your recharge speed, as you can tell, is actually really nice. It's actually pretty good, and this is, you know, this Harrier is only at 1, so that's something to keep in mind. All right, now let me go ahead and talk about something I wanted to bring up in this video. The first thing is that unfortunately, Far Jumping HD for the clan is full. It's been full now for probably a couple days, at least maybe 3 days. So sorry guys, if you didn't get on that friends list, you know, there's really nothing I can do. The only thing I can do is take people off and add you, which I don't want to do. So, you know, the best thing for you to do as of right now is to add Far Chalinkus. That's the best thing. Eventually, we will make another clan, a clan gamer tag for more people for Mass Effect. But as of right now, no, we're not. Maybe in the near future we will. But, you know, we'll just have to see what's good. Alright, now the other thing I wanted to bring up is I have figured out a way to get equipment very easily. And I wanted to share that with you guys. The first thing is this, is that if you couldn't tell from earlier on in this video, I actually have 255 of everything now. Of all my actual equipment, like based, you know, things, meaning metagels, and I know it sounded a little awkward, but yeah, you know, like metagels and rockets and op packs, all that kind of good stuff. I have 255 of everything. And I've decided that from this point on, I will never run out of rockets or metagels or anything ever again. And the way I'm going to do that is because I exclusively play gold. And I mean, I pretty much exclusively play gold. Because of that, I tend to use up maybe all my rockets in games. Or I use up a lot of my metagels, or I'll use up, you know, my op packs, things like that. But what I'm going to be doing from now on is to avoid that. After every game, I'm just going to buy me a jumbo equipment pack. And by doing that, I will restock myself to have, to pretty much have 255 of everything, which is the max if you didn't know. And what's really nice, what I figured out, is that if you do that, what I do now, which means, okay, let's say this is what you would do. If you play gold, I mean, if you don't play gold, this might be a little kind of hard for you to do. But if you play gold like me, then yeah, you know, this shouldn't be too hard. What you do is you just buy, after every game, you buy one jumbo equipment pack to break even. And then every time you buy a Spectre pack or premium Spectre pack, you actually will get out of the pack, you know, sometimes 4 to 5, well, mainly 4. You're guaranteed to get at least potentially 4 level 3 equipments. That means your armor piercing 3, your any ammo 3, armor 3, you know, all that kind of good stuff. You know, rail lamp 3s. And that's really nice because I've been really complaining and really bitching lately about how I can't restock my, you know, equipment, and it sucks because once you run low on equipment, it just makes it doesn't make gold harder, because I don't mind using 2s or even 1s for gold, but I like to have 3s for the videos and stuff. So if you guys wanted to try that out, please do. I highly recommend everybody out there to try to get maximum equipment, meaning your rockets and your op packs and your metagels. It's not that hard to do. If you play gold, it's not hard. You just gotta sacrifice buying premiums and prospector packs for a while, and just buy jumbos, guys. It's once, like I said, if you do what I do, eventually you'll never even run out of. Not only will you never run out of rockets or, you know, metagels, you will never run out of actual equipment for your gun and stuff, which is very nice. And you know, a lot of people always bitch and say they can't get equipment. But so that's a couple things I wanted to share with you guys, you know, on an off subject of this video. Alright, so now let me go ahead and get back into the gameplay. As you can tell, this is wave 3. We're actually milking this wave a little bit. Oh, actually, we milked the crap out of it. I'm not even going to lie. But we milked it just so that we can, mainly just so that we can, you know, get extra experience. Someone in this game was, I believe it was Drew, was actually kind of low level. I think he was like level 14 in this gameplay. So that sucks because, you know, he's not going to have all his, you know, all his godly abilities yet for his human sentinel. So because of that, we decided to milk it, and I think if you're gonna milk gold ever, guys, just milk wave 3. You know, you can milk all the waves if you have the balls, but I don't recommend it. I mainly just recommend milking wave 3. Now, one thing about the Asari Justicar though is that I never use this character, to be honest. I have never, but maybe once, ever used this character, and that was pretty much for my gameplay. That maybe twice, but you know, I've only really ever used it just for a gameplay I did for the build video. That was it. Normally I let my teammates play as this character, because the way I look at it is that I feel that if I'm doing a team like this where we're setting up explosions and we're detonating them, I'd rather be the one detonating, because I know that I can make the good decisions on what to detonate and when to detonate. And it's a lot easier for, you know, a player to use Reeve, which has a radius and is pretty consistent to hit enemies with, than it is for a player to use a human vanguard or something along those lines. So that's normally what I like to do. I use characters like that, or maybe the X-Cerberus vanguard with smash, you know, things like that, because I can detonate and all that good stuff. Now right here, I'm just gonna go ham by punching this guy. I felt like Snide for a second. I wanted to make Snide proud. You know, my buddy Snide, you've probably seen him in multiple gameplays of mine. He actually exclusively plays as the Asari Justicar. 90% of the time he plays only as the Asari Justicar, which is really cool. He's, you know, very good with this character, and yeah, you know, this is just a really good character though, guys. And with this Cerberus Harrier, with this build, I think this is a very effective way to play with it. Just because you're able to do so much, like your offense is amazing because of Reeve with the combination of the Harrier shooting enemies. If you ever need to throw out the bubble, the way I play with the bubble, which is the way I recommend people play with the bubble, is if you're going to use it on bosses, but only certain bosses. Like, it's very hard, it's kind of risky running up to an Atlas to try to throw out the bubble and then potentially getting grabbed. Same with Banshees and stuff. With Banshees though, it's kind of easy because you just throw it out in front of them and they will eventually fly into it or warp into it. But the one thing I love about the bubble more than a lot of powers is the fact that it does have a huge radius. It is unavoidable. Enemies cannot dodge it. They cannot avoid it. To some extent, not full extent, but to some extent. What I mean is this: is that the best enemy in the game to hit with the bubble is actually the Phantoms. The bubble really makes it killing Phantoms kind of easy. If you know, it's kind of like, it's similar to stasis. How, you know, you really can't miss with stasis. Well, you really can't miss with the bubble. So if you reave a Phantom coming at you, take cover for a second, run up to where it is, and then throw out the bubble, you will blow up the Phantom. And what's nice about it is not only will you blow up the Phantom, but you will actually also set them up for another explosion. So you'll pretty much be able to detonate 2 explosions by yourself onto a Phantom, which is kind of guaranteed death in a lot of ways. So it's a really nice thing you can do. I wanted to definitely bring that up. You will see me in this gameplay do it once the Phantoms start to get heavy. Now right there, that's an example of running it up to throw it at a boss. But like I said, I don't recommend doing that unless you have a good angle to do it at. Which right there, I had a really nice angle to do it. Now, the one thing I also really love about this particular build with the Harrier and the Asari Justicar is just taking out bosses. You can take out a boss with a team like this and with this Harrier so fast. I mean, you'll kill Banshees, Brutes, Atlases, Primes. You'll kill everything extremely quick. Now, this wave right here, this is going to be wave 6, if you can't tell. This wave is actually kind of a disaster in some ways. Now, right here, I'm going to go ahead and get this kill streak, which was kind of a pretty nice kill streak. But unfortunately, by doing that, they're going to all now spawn on the opposite side. And, you know, what will end up happening is that we will just get overwhelmingly swarmed. That's what happened. This is one of the worst uploads in the game, and probably the worst one on this entire map. And when you're dealing with enemies like Phantoms and you know, combat engineers, yeah, it's just not a good upload. Same with Banshees. If you're dealing with Banshees, it is extremely annoying. Because what will happen to you is that the combat engineers against Cerberus will set up turrets all around you, and I mean they will set up turrets all around that upload, and it will just screw you. They'll have you just pinned in by turrets, and then the phantoms will rush in and just murder you. So that is kind of a downside. Now right here, like this is an example, there's going to be a turret over there, and right here I'm going to blow up this bitch, and then there's actually a turret behind me as well. I mean, you'll just see this. This is absolutely ridiculous. Right here I'm going to go down, unfortunately, and then my buddy New Trip, who's a member of the clan, he gets assassinated, so that sucks. I run over here, I'm like, oh fuck, there's a turret. Look in front of me, and I'm like, oh shit, there's a turret. So that's what I'm saying. Like this wave can definitely be really a headache. Fortunately for us, though, we're gonna get the upload done, and because of that, now we can run away from the stupid circle. You know, if the upload is done and you're having problems with something like that, you need to get the hell out of there. You really do. You need to get to a defensive part of the map, which the landing pad area on this map is probably one of the best in the game for just playing defensive at. Pretty much the best landing pad probably in the whole game is the landing pad on this map. But as you can tell, guys, I am just raping. I am just annihilating these enemies with the Cerberus Harrier, with the combination of just blowing them up. It's really easy to do well with a team like this playing as a Reeve character. Honestly, it really is. Like the Drell and the Asari Justicar are probably the two best adapts in the game for just doing very well, because you are going to be the one setting up the majority of the explosions. So in turn, you're going to be the one getting the majority of the points. That is one way to think of it. People who now, it is a fair chance if everyone is warping and reaving, because warp can set up, reave can detonate, reave can set up, and warp can detonate. But it's honestly kind of better if warp sets up and then reave detonates than it is for reave to set up and then warp detonates. Now I know this is a little bit of a tongue twister, a little bit confusing, but I hope you can follow me. But yeah, that's it. The truth of the matter is warp is probably the best power in the game for setting up explosions. It really is. I mean, you can practically one-hit KO things with warp compared to what you can do with reave. But with reave, the payoff is that if you are, fighting a group of enemies, like 2-3 enemies, and you hit it with a power like shockwave, that will detonate 2 to 3 explosions at once, which is 1,000 times better than freaking dealing with the other than one explosion. So that's where I'm going with this, pretty much. That's the way to think about it. All right, so right here I was epically failing with my bubble. If you couldn't tell, I was trying to throw it out, couldn't do it, and then it just was really dumb. But that is what will happen to you. Like, that's the reason why I'm not a big fan of the bubble. Now, I'm not saying I don't like the bubble, though, guys. I hope you get that, because I do like the bubble. It has its uses. It's a more useful power than pool. I don't like pool. That's a power I can, definitely say I do not like. But, the reasons for that is just because it's not useful against shields. Where the bubble is useful against shields and useful against a lot of different, things. Like right here, you'll see me pretty much blow this bitch up. Look at that. Boom. She's blown up. Now I can shoot her to death. So, like I said, it is a very useful power. It's just, it's always better to just reave spam than it is to bubble spam. So keep that in mind. It will also keep you alive longer, because you'll get the damage protection. And not only will you get the damage protection from the reave, but you'll also, be able to stay further back from the enemies. That's the worst part about the Asari Justicar, is the fact that you have to run up really close range to throw out your bubble to, detonate your own explosions. That is just not a good thing to do at times. It just isn't. So, just keep that in mind, guys. If you're going to play this Asari Justicar, try to reave spam more than bubble spam. I see way too many people try to bubble spam, and it's just not. It is not an easy thing to do, honestly. It's very risky. You have a lot of chances to get yourself killed. If you use your bubble properly, which is you got to use it with intelligence, meaning that if you use it on enemies like phantoms, because phantoms can dodge everything. They cannot dodge the bubble. But once again, you have to use it on the phantom in the right area or in the right circumstances. Which, if a Phantom's charging you and I'm really weak, no, I will not run up and try to bubble a Phantom. I will try to stay back and let the Phantom come to me. So that's something to think about, guys. That's the way you need to be playing with this character. This is a character that is really not meant. She does not have the shields, and all adapts and engineers. They do not have the health and shields to be a frontline soldier. They need to be played from range for the most part. They are not vanguards. They are not Krogans, anything like that. So the way you need to play with them is from a distance, kind of playing conservatively in a lot of ways, and playing intelligently. And if you do that and you do it right, and you use a good gun like the Cerberus Harrier, like I am, you'll have a lot of success, and it's really easy to just murk enemies. Alright, so right here, I'm going to work on this Atlas, but in the process of working on this Atlas, my team they're just going to get raped. I mean, I don't know what happened. I think they got raped by a Phantom. Don't really know. But, instead of running over there, I'm going to play smart, and I'm going to sit back and tell one of them to get up while I cover them and kill the Phantoms that were bugging them. So, that's just what happened right there, and it worked out perfectly fine because one person got up and revived everyone else. So, that's just something that's very, very nice. Very, you never want, if you see your teammate go down, you really don't need to be running in and killing yourself, getting them up. It's not something that you need to be doing. I know that as a team, it's always, you're going to keep in the mindset that, I want to help my teammates because, especially if they're not randoms. Because, a lot of people who play with randoms always won't even care about a random. Where if you're playing with your friends or playing with people from the clan or whatever it is, and that was a pretty shitty rocket, I'm not going to lie. If I aimed it just a little bit, I would have had a kill streak, unfortunately. But, yeah, a lot of people play with randoms, you don't really give a fuck about them. But when you play with your friends or the clan members or whatever, you're going to care. You're going to want to actually help them. Now, that's cool. Definitely, that's very nice that you want to do that. But you also have to play smart in the process. Meaning that you cannot just give your life away to save someone else and then watch them die just as quick from you getting them up. It's just how it works. You have to be able to make the decision when is a good time to pick someone up and when is a bad time to pick someone up. And if you make the good decisions, then you will, have a lot of success. All right, here we're gonna pretty much just rape these Atlases like we've been the whole game. That's the best thing about doing a team like this. You're always able to just rape the enemies very quickly, especially Cerberus and Reapers. Geth are, in my opinion, I think Geth are probably the worst in the game for trying to do an adapt team against. They just, they kind of just eat. They kind of just eat the crap out of like the explosions. It seems like it doesn't hurt them as much, and not only that, but they freaking flank you and they do so much damage. I guess that's really the thing. Geth in this game, if you guys don't know, they really do the most damage. They have the best offensive abilities, probably the worst defensive abilities, but the best offensive abilities. They swarm you. Almost every one of their units can take you down really quickly. The rocket troopers, the hunters, the primes, the pyros. All those units can really kill you quickly. Where Cerberus, the only thing that can kill you quickly is Atlases and Phantoms. That's really it. Besides that, there's not too many units that they have that can really kill you fast. And Reapers are the same. The only thing that can kill you fast is, well, of course, a Banshee can always grab you, but a Banshee really can't kill you fast outside of grabbing you. Brutes are pretty easy to dodge. Right here, I'm going to shoot a rocket at that Atlas down there. I thought there would be more enemies coming up from right there, but I was wrong. And that's unfortunate, because, anytime you waste a rocket like that, you kind of mess up your score quite a bit. Like, I actually have a really nice score this game, but I could have had a lot better one if I would have had better rockets. But, anyway, like I was saying, Reapers in general, the only enemies that really will mess you up in Reapers are Marauders, Ravagers, and Banshees, honestly. Banshees can also mess you up, but mainly Marauders and Ravagers. That's it. But Geth, they just do a lot of damage, and in general, adapts just don't have a lot of health, and they don't have a lot of shields, so they die really easily. So that's just something that you guys need to think about and focus on, and before you try doing a team like this. You don't just want to be doing this against Geth. But in general, like I said, I really do like this Asari Justicar. She's, for the most part, she is probably the best adept in the game, just for what she does. Like, she sets up, she detonates, she can set up. You know, she can just do so much. Like, she's the most versatile adept in the game. Is the best way to put it. And you know, she's a lot of fun to play too, especially if you can make your build a Cerberus Harrier build and name her Miss Harry Booty. Like, that's, you know, has some type of novelty. Now, as you can tell right here, we're going to be exploding an Atlas. Now, if you're using a team like this, you should always, any boss enemy, Banshees, Brutes, I guess Brutes really aren't bosses, but mainly Atlases, Primes, and Banshees. Anytime you come across them, yeah, try to blow up the boss, because by blowing up the boss, your explosion is going to hit all the little enemies behind the boss. Because bosses tend to do that. They tend to trap enemies behind them. And because of that, and this is actually going to be a pretty nice little rocket right here. And because they trap enemies behind them, like right there, like there was an Atlas and there was 3 Phantoms behind them. Because of that, you're going to be able to blow them up, you know, maybe 3 to 4 times is all it's going to take. And this, once again, is another shitty rocket. Wow. But yeah, I had really bad rockets this game. I honestly, I had really bad rockets all day. So, there you go. But yeah, if you blow up a boss, all the enemy, and if you tech burst a boss, all the enemies around it is going to get hit, and you pretty much can kill like a lot of enemies doing that. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, if you see a boss, just call it out like, hey, let's blow up the boss. You know, there's a lot of enemies around. If you see enemies around the boss especially, yeah, call it out and go ahead and start blowing it up, because if you do it, then yeah, you'll be able to pretty much just kill everything around it. So it's pretty nice. Alright, as you can tell though, this is pretty much winding down. Like I said, I'll repeat it one more time. Sorry, Justicar with the Harrier is absolutely amazing. A lot of fun to play. In general, she's the best adept in the game for what she does, which is setting up explosions, and you know, that's pretty much her job. Her main job is just to set up explosions. That's the best way to put her, and that's the best way to play with her. So, you know, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I know I always talk about the Asari Justicar, and I really wanted to come out with a video showing her off, because, you know, I only have one video with the Asari Justicar, and she definitely deserves more than just one video. So, like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please, guys, comment, please like, please subscribe. Remember, guys, Far Jumpin' HD is full. If you want to be in the clan, there's still spots open for Far Chalinkus. Go ahead and add that. I will pretty soon here, more than likely, make another clan tag just to get as many people as possible into the clan, because I know a lot of people want to be in the clan. And yeah, so that's going to be pretty much it, guys. So have a nice day.